marching band. For your halftime entertainment, we celebrate the 43-year reign of the speed metal kings, Metallica. With 9 Grammy Awards and 14 nominations, 38 concert tours worldwide, and 11 studio albums that span 4 decades, the Titans of Thrash remain the standard by which all other metal is measured. We begin with a 1984 classic from their second album, For Whom the Bell Tolls, followed by the 1992 tour anthem, Wherever I May Roam. And then, let's turn down the house and light up the stage for the Auburn University Marching Band and their show, Metallica.
Sunday evening is here once again, and that means it's time for another live recording of the Auburn Experience podcast, episode 153 coming your way. As always, 2 major topics in the Auburn Experience space, as well as catching you up on the latest news in Auburn potpourri. All that's coming up right now. David Housel described it best. We are living the whole of the Auburn experience. You can quantify it, you can qualify it through a variety of methods, time, people, places, and things. But at its heart and at its core, the Auburn experience is all about Auburn sports, Auburn culture, and Auburn family stuff. An easier way to say it, though, if it's orange and blue, it is what we do. So thank you so much for joining us and what we're going to be doing today, episode 153 of the Auburn Experience podcast. As always, I'm your host, Kyle Loomis, in chair number 1 and in chair number 2, but still the best chair. Joining me once again, Mr. Austin Scott. Welcome, sir.
Thanks so much. It's more of a stool, but I'll take it. I appreciate it. War Eagle to you, Kyle. War Eagle to our viewers and listeners. Hope everyone's having a great week, staying warm. I don't know about you, but it's been cold here on the plains, cold and rainy. And when it's cold and rainy, the rain or the wet just doesn't go away. So how is it up there in your neck of the woods?
It's very similar, but I'll be honest with you, it's putting me in the mood. Obviously, we've been chronicling me this entire time of bringing Christmas.
I see your lights.
Yeah, lights are up. And I've been getting a lot of criticism about this strand right here, but folks, there's just not much I can do with it other than that.
What's wrong with it? Just
WT, one of our regulars here, he's been giving me crap every live stream he can, or most of them, about how
for our purposes it fits in the frame. I think if it was,
I thought so, but yeah. Listen, Christmas is here, and certainly the weather this week has happened. I'm happy to report, this is not Auburn related, but since you got me on this train, that the basic gist of my house lights for my Christmas outdoor stuff is set up. There will be many nights of going out there and tinkering, adding some new things, the rest, but I am happy to report that we are in full swing here in the Loomis household, ready to roll. And I couldn't be happier about it. I've already gotten something for Christmas that's Auburn related, and I wore it on a live stream recently that people picked up on it.
Oh, so Christmas early. It's barely December. Look at you.
Yeah. So if we get enough of the Auburn gifts this year, the 2 of us, which I imagine between the 2 of us, we'll do a little show and tell at lunch.
We'll have a segment, I'm sure.
We will have a segment, I'm sure. Let's jump in here. I want to start with this. We, Austin, are presented with a conundrum far too often these days when it comes to SEC championship week. Far too often, not just one, but both of our greatest rivals. I know, are somehow, some way finding themselves there into the SEC championship game, which begs the question, Austin, as an Auburn fan, I think we've tackled this before. What do you do? Who do you root for? Do you root for anybody at all? Like, it's to say that we don't care about the game is being a little disingenuous. You may not care that much, but obviously you want to see both your rivals fail in some way. So, like, how do you manage this?
I'm assuming you're asking me, like, as in who I pull for, as besides the Meteor, right?
Sure, right, yes, of course.
Because that is my normal option, is what I tell people is the Meteor. Now, I have to preface that with my father-in-law, who is my favorite, if you can say such a thing, Alabama fan. He was in attendance, so I didn't really want a Meteor to hit the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. Superdome? Is that gone? I don't remember.
That would be the Georgia Dome that's gone, but
the Mercedes. I think it's just the Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Mercedes-Benz, yes. Whatever. We wouldn't know because we're not there that much. Ouch.
We're really not. No, look, and I don't know what people usually prefer. For me, I think it really, to the truth and honesty of it, I really think that it comes down to kind of where you grew up And I think I don't think across the board, I think everybody would agree that Alabama is Auburn's primary rival, right? Like nobody's disagreeing with that. Georgia, obviously, especially with their resurgence here in the last decade and a half, that they've garnered even more of a rivalry with Auburn before they did. But I mean, I think that there's people who probably would prefer to see Georgia lose, that maybe if they live around it or they have family around it. And maybe you can speak to that. I'm not saying that's your opinion, but I'm saying that there could be people you're around in your neck of the woods where that is more of it's a little more of a pull. For me, I grew up in Birmingham, so it's pretty cut and dry. I don't like seeing either of them win, but it's kind of like a natural response when I watch that game specifically, and it happened in the regular season as well. It's like I can't stomach to see Alabama win in anything, and so
I'm with you.
I wouldn't say I'm pulling for Georgia, but it is the true epitome of the lesser of two evils.
It really is the most clear example of the phrase lesser of two evils, and it is very heavy emphasis on that evils part. It is the worst case scenario every time it happens. It's been happening far too often. Even living in the state of Georgia, the more they continue to get, thinking big on themselves, the barking increases. So it's just annoying, but it will always be, I will prefer Georgia beating up on Alabama, which did happen this time, which is great, obviously to see that happen, because neither one of them beat up on us this year. It was close games, both of them. And obviously it continued to be a problem for them playing in Jordan-Hare Stadium. We'll see if that changes on the way factor next year. But it was a quick thought to just start off the week that we think about it far too often. I just wanted to get our most recent takes on it to see if anything changed. What else is going on with you this week?
Sure. Yeah. It was a busy week. Like I said, cold and rainy. We talk about this a lot, especially in construction updates and things like that. But I got to attend with my father and my wife a play in the Goose Performing Arts Center this week. And I thought about you all.
Highfalutin.
I mean, I'm a cultured person, got to attend the play as part of their Broadway series. And just every time we go in there, I'm reminded it's a beautiful place, and it brings very talented people. So I do not have off the top of my head the list of amount of events you can go to from now until next year. It's quite a few, and they've got concerts and plays, and as we talked about in the last construction report we had, the amphitheater is getting closer and closer to being finished, so there'll be more of that. But man, if you have not checked it out, I really encourage you to try to get over there for one. See if maybe we'll include that. I will make it my mission to, when we talk about the weekends that you need to be here in the spring, I will make it my mission to include events that are at the Goose Performing Arts Center on those weekends. So I will, because I frequent it and I enjoy it, I will make sure I add to that, because I recognize you might not be traveling down here just to see a performance at the Goose Center. So we will include that in our lineups.
Well, it's one of those things that people are like, I only go to Auburn football games, but there's so much more that you can do there. And I get plays may not be your thing, but I'm sure they do lectures there. There's probably comedy acts that come there as well, concerts, things like that in the amphitheater, I'm sure, coming up. Probably movie nights, things like that. Look, Auburn's got a lot to offer, whether it's what you're talking about with the Goose Center, the dining, obviously the sports, the town, all that kind of stuff. There's great shopping you can do. So don't dismiss it. If you are someone that's like, I can't come to Auburn unless there's some kind of sports event. Yes, that's going to usually be what draws you here. But there's so much more that can make you grow and love and in your love for this place more than even outside of a round ball or a oblong ball or whatever else that they're out there utilizing in the sports. But I'm happy to hear that you had a good little experience around town on the levees. That's right. Plains. Let's get started with potpourri and talk about a few different things out there in the Auburn space. Let's start with some good things. Cam Newton, a lot of celebration of him this year. Number retired at Jordan-Hare Stadium. Thankful that we got to see that. You can watch the full ceremony that we filmed on our YouTube channel. But that wasn't the end of it for him this year. He was inducted into the SEC Legends class of 2025, which meant it's since it was SEC championship week, that he would be honored at the, I think it was at the College Football Hall of Fame.
That's right. Yeah.
Which is weird that the SEC holds their thing at the College Football Hall of Fame. It's almost like the SEC just means more or something. I don't know.
Means more.
But anyway, obviously, we're very excited for Cam and the great year that he's having, being honored for how integral he was to Auburn, but not just Auburn, the SEC, and to college football. So just another thing for him to kind of check off this year that he has had. And a little bit of fun caveat, too, being introduced apparently during the SEC championship game, and the two fan bases that despise him the most outside of Mississippi State had to stand there and watch him be honored in that way. And my understanding is there was a lot of certain noises being hurled at him throughout.
I'm sure there was all kinds of noises and words being thrown Cam's way, and I'm sure he ate that up. Yes. I have no doubt. I'm actually, as you said that, I meant to look up. I thought about it yesterday, and I meant to look up and see if there were videos out there, but I never did. But also got to see that he got to meet Coach Alex Golish and Cody Burns, him and reunited. The pair of national champion for touchdown scorers there. And so pretty cool to see that reunion. Obviously, want to see Cam back around some more. And so maybe he got good connection there with Coach Golish and their first introduction. But congrats to him. It feels like he's been it's just the accolades are pouring in the more and more he gets away from his time playing.
I think really now at this point, it's just the College Football Hall of Fame, all that kind of stuff. He's checked off a lot of the Auburn stuff. He's checking off the SEC things before you know it. The debate's always out there. Is where do you place Cam in the legends status of college football? Right. And most people that aren't being biased will tell you that he's one of the best, if not in the top 5, top 10. He's a top 10 probably player that we're talking about all the time. We can have that debate, but certainly we're excited for him, how he's continuing to get recognized by Auburn, the SEC, and much more. I want us to tackle a topic that I've even seen in our chat pop up already once, so I'm glad that we're going to do this on this show. With Auburn having a 5-7 season, that means technically they are not eligible for a bowl, as many others are, and there's quite a few prominent programs out there that did not reach that 6-game winning mark. But what happens is with this new college football playoff and other people being either not eligible or choosing not people, there's opportunities for 5 and 7 teams to be asked to come to a bowl game. And reportedly, this is only reports, got nothing of confirmation from the university or the athletic department myself, but reports from media sources are that Auburn, as well as many other prominent programs, have turned down options this season to play in bowl games. That even at 5 and 7. So the question that I want to pose to you, Austin, noting that every situation is different, maybe is this the right decision, is the wrong decision, or just an overall, how does this make you feel? Sit on the couch and tell me how you make this feel.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. I think the first we kind of heard wind of it was when Kansas State there were reports out they were kind of thinking they were going to decline their bowl invite, even though they were eligible to go to a bowl with 6 wins because their coach retired. They're bringing Colin Klein back, which I think is really cool. And then the other one was Iowa State. They were the victims of Penn State's long lost coaching search and lost their coach. And even though they were eligible, they're declining as well. So, it's like academic progress rate is kind of how it's kind of the gist of how we continue to remind ourselves, these kids are in school. And so that's the pecking order of which the NCAA and decides these are the teams you can choose next on the bowl list. And I think Florida State and Auburn were the 2 higher APR rates. So they were at the top of the list. Which, that's a good thing. At least we're getting to class, right? Never mind. I was going to say. I'm just going to keep going.
Where you are now.
And so, you're right. You're very right. And so, the debate started. It would Auburn accept? Personally, I was like, let's do it. Let's have some more fun. Let's see what could happen. A lot of people brought up back in 2008 how. I think Tony Franklin was hired, or 2007. Tony Franklin was hired, and Auburn did do it. They took their 8. That was offensive coordinator, of course, but they took their 8 practices and went out there and did what they could. And so I think a lot of people were like, well, you can't do it this day and age. And it's like, yeah, sure you can. I would have loved to see it. Personally, I understand all the reasons not to.
Yeah.
In this day and age with the portal and a new coach coming in and you don't even have a full staff right now. I would have loved to see it just because I love watching Auburn football. And I think it would be fun to go ahead and get an early glimpse of what Alex Golish's team could look like and the culture there. Now, obviously, there's all the possibilities of does somebody blow out their knee or does Auburn get waxed? And then you've got a negative narrative the rest of the spring and whatever. Sure. I think it would have been a lot of fun anyway. But nonetheless, looks like Auburn's going to decline that bid. And throw this on top of there. It looks like it would have been Birmingham. So, I mean, that wouldn't have been too bad either. You'd had a decent crowd. But nonetheless, they decline. And like you said, several others decline. I think Georgia Southern does not have a bowl opponent at the moment. So we'll have to see what happens. But crazy times, crazy world in college football right now.
Yeah, listen, my preference would be that you go and play it. I don't care about this. They don't deserve it, all that kind of stuff. If the team is capable to do it, I think they should go out and they get offered. They should, as long as there are other you're considering health, safety. Do you have the capabilities to field a team right now? I mean, Coach Golish has got a team he's trying to hold together right now in what happens in every transition. So there's some of that at play. You got to recognize you don't have all the information about what goes into these decisions. Personal preference, if you get the opportunity to play, whether you deserve it or not, it is what it is at this point. But I don't think it shocked anybody that reportedly Auburn declined, as well as many others, the opportunity to continue their play for the 2025 season in postseason play. This is a program that you and I want to talk about as much as we can when we get opportunities to. And this scrolled across social media this week. And I'm not shocked that I'm hearing this already, just what I read and learned about Coach Szabo for women's tennis at Auburn, what he was going to be bringing to the table, and where Auburn women's tennis was already at with the previous regime, which was pretty dang good as well. So he kind of stepped into a really good situation too. But I don't know what the significance of this particular ranking is. It sounds official, the Universal Tennis Rating, the UTR, and they shared it out on social media. But they ranked Auburn women's tennis the number 1 program out of all tennis programs, collegiate tennis programs out there. I don't know if that's going to be your official ranking for the season. And
sure,
people need to remember there's a fall and a spring season, and the main one is the spring season, which will be gearing up here in a month or 2 months or so. They'll have a little bit of indoor, outdoor too. But that's a pretty cool thing to have come across right there. So in these times where Auburn's one of your big sports isn't doing so well, people need to take stock of this and enjoy it while you got it. Coach Szabo with a number 1 ranking from somebody, out there. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, very cool and very well respected. So I mean, I think everybody should be excited and look forward to what this could mean. Like you said, somebody out there thinks they're number 1. And I would imagine if they, have enough reason to put out their own rankings, they probably have enough reason to think Auburn's number 1 and have a validity to doing so. So pay attention to this team. Tennis will be certainly on our list of things to check out in the weekends of the spring semester when Auburn's here. So you'll have plenty of opportunities, but make sure to keep note of that and track this season. Kyle and I certainly will.
Absolutely. I'll be out there. I try to make at least one match, which usually men's or women's is right around one of the two. I wish it could be both, but there's not enough room at the facilities, I believe, for 8-day weekend. But there's plenty of opportunities for you to watch men and women this spring season.
Will we have 8-day weekend? Who knows?
Let's not start that debate today. But don't get us down in the dumps already.
Will we have SEC championships? Who knows?
Will we have anything anymore? What a show. All right, one final thing here that I want to throw out, and I'm going to submit my Auburn card. I'm virtually sliding it to you, and you can decide if you want to remove this from me, Austin. So you got it, right? You're holding on to
I got it right here, right on my laptop.
So it has taken me 38 years to go to Amsterdam Cafe. At least
gosh.
Hold on. At least a version of it. I have not been to the original. I just went to the one out there on University Parkway for the first time.
It's better.
Well, whether it's better or not, I don't care.
That's by me. That's my neck of the woods.
But what I'm saying though is, by the way, that's where I was before I stopped by your house. But
Oh, I see.
I'm saying this. We like to talk about all aspects of Auburn here, and I like to give just a
Yes.
quick review of things.
I'd love to hear it.
Listen,
I'm a big fan, so I'd love to hear it.
Didn't know what to expect. I've heard great things about Amsterdam Cafe. Still haven't been to the original, but I finally have taken a opportunity to go the brand, the food, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I had myself a nice pepperoni and sausage flatbread because it looked the most enticing thing at the time.
Okay.
And there were a lot of good options with some of their sandwiches I saw in there. Outstanding. I enjoyed the heck out of that, and I'm kind of mad at myself that I didn't take the newer location option more often, as many times as I swung that way. And there are plenty of food options in Auburn. Trust me, anybody wants to sponsor here, we're going. Yeah, I am not picky.
Man. I'll do a show from Amsterdam. Somebody
we'll do it right
hook
now.
us up.
But what I'm saying is, in general, I do also want to give you guys, when I've tried something that for the first time, my take on it. And this is, I'm generally being unbiased here. I had an outstanding experience.
It's fantastic. So,
and stuff.
And for those kind of asking, the original is more of sit down, your waiter comes to you, all the things. So, and I think over time, they've added these. There's two, I think, right now. They've added these more order at the counter. They bring it to you, little more casual. And there's one on north side of town, one in Morris Mill area.
Yep.
And I think they've pretty much got the menu from the original all the way now, maybe outside of a couple things, like a couple higher price items at the other two. Fast food. I don't like saying that, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's quick service.
Quick service. There you go. Locations. And yeah, we're big fans. That's really close to us. I will say, and I'll tell you this because I've had it like once, but this is the general standard or general consensus is that the turkey wraps is like what everybody says is like their thing. The honey mustard, that's what Emily gets every time. She loves it. I like the pepper jack chicken sandwich.
That was my second choice.
Fantastic, man.
Okay.
That's
I'm really
the one.
disappointed now.
That's the one. Really good. But the turkey, those two, I think you're good to go. I've never had a flatbread though, so I'm really glad that you said that.
Well, I had been fighting the urge to go to Little Italy all weekend, or that weekend previous, and then that Monday when I was there for events. So I finally said, let's just go over here. I got to go Austin's direction. It's over here. We did it. It was excellent. So can I have the Auburn card back or no?
Absolutely. Okay. Now that you've gone, you can have it back.
Thank you.
And don't worry. Look, I'm not hating on Amsterdam, but the original it's classic, and but it's kind of hard to get to.
It is.
And the parking's a little rough. That's not their fault. It's just things how it is.
It's just the way things are.
But you got the option to go this one, and this one's great. So
yes,
props to you.
I've finally done a version of it. It won't be my last. I had an outstanding experience.
Absolutely.
So, folks, add it to your list. Another reason to come to Auburn outside of the sports. The full Auburn experience.
My sister-in-law has been saying that. She's like, I just want to come to Auburn and eat. I'm like, you should.
Trust me, I could do that and be just fine. It's good stuff there. Another great one to add to the list. That'll add us up. That'll wrap us up into other topics outside of Auburn Potpourri. Our main stuff tonight, we're going to start with a little bit of basketball, and that's going to be the trend here. Austin, obviously, football season has completed. We still got one main topic to discuss here, but that'll be the main focus for people for the next several months leading up. And boy, oh boy, what an interesting week of highs and lows for Auburn men specifically. We'll start there to round out our basketball week. And you had the SEC challenge with NC State. Auburn gets the win, 83-73. There was an Arizona game. We'll talk about that. Not so great in a second. And some cool storylines throughout the week as well. Some things that happened. So let's park it right here on the good. The NC State game. Obviously, ACC challenge. It should be SEC, ACC. I digress. And we won that. Am I wrong?
Yeah. When we were talking pre-show, I meant to look it up. I know we were up, and it only took like one or two more wins.
Yeah, and we were a late game, so I think ours was probably.
I would think so.
Solidified it. Anyway, I think we won. And I say we, the SEC, like we had a hand in it. But that was part of that. Got to host it in Auburn, and it was a good showing. The team, I think, performed really well against an NC State team. Will Wade teams are always scary. You know, he was back at LSU, McNeese State. He obviously they had a little run there in the NCAA tournament. You got to look out for any coached Will Wade coach team. So I was very proud of the guys in this game. Specifically, how about our Kevin Overton leading the scoring in this game? 29 points. I was so excited for Kevin Overton in this week, in that particular game.
It was his coming out party. I mean, everything he touched felt like it was flying in. So really, really cool to see for him. And I think the guys, it was one of those nights where everybody was just like, just get him the ball. As Coach Smith, you say, get him the ball and get out of the way. And so just an incredible night. Everything he touched was going down. Look, Auburn needed it. You look at the stat sheet and they had every single stat category you could possibly have over NC State, including turnovers though. And that was the wide margin that kept NC State in the game. Yep. So good scoring output for Kevin Overton. And he continues to be a big leader for Auburn and for, this on the court and off the court, just an experienced guy. And I've heard you. As Kevin Overton goes, this Auburn basketball team seems to be the same trend, whether it's facilitating or scoring. So very good to see in a kind of season where it looks like they need certain people to step up, and Auburn needs certain guys to step up, specifically at home, but in all categories, in leadership and in practice and during the game. So really cool to see for Kevin Overton. Like you said, a Will Wade coach team is nothing to snuff at, and awesome for Auburn to get a big win.
I'm struggling to figure out who I would equate Kevin Overton to, but I just had this strong inclination, and certainly you can say it's so easy for you to say this now, Kyle, but I truly did when I saw him sign and just started kind of feeling out this roster that Kevin Overton was going to be integral to the success of this team. Because you had Tahad, who was going to be the star of the team. As far as we knew, we had Keyshawn Hall, who had a lot of potential, and that potential is real. And then a lot of other, young talent that's been coming with various skills, and some others with leadership. And I felt Kevin was going to be one of those guys that could provide a little bit of everything. Swiss Army knife is used a lot. He's a scorer. He can be a facilitator. He's a calming force. Maybe I don't know if this is even a fair equivalent because it's different positions, but Dylan Cardwell could be that for you. Maybe not so much of the scorer thing, but he was just a little bit of everything to everybody, and maybe has that type of feel about him. Just watching how he carries himself out there. So I was so excited for the dude when I saw him score 29 points, and to see that part of his game be elevated and that rise to the occasion, because he's been sitting there every night, it seems like, or at least on average, in the 3 or the 4, maybe 5 slot in terms of scoring. He's scored in double digits more often than people are aware of. So my statement that I've already said, and you talked about, I think, is Kevin Overton goes, this team might go a little bit. So need to lean on him for a little bit of extra pop amongst everybody else. Keyshawn Hall had a great day as well. We can use this to talk about the Arizona game, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe let me park it on the Arizona results for a second. Auburn got whooped. Okay, let's just put it out there. Second, just annihilated. Although very kind Arizona fans have been on our YouTube channel and talked about how they were worried that we were going to make a run on them several times. I think that's very generous of them. But kind of talking about Tahad Pettiford. We've joked about it now at this point. The man continues to struggle in some ways, just not do what we've grown accustomed to at home. But for some reason, whether it
just does, man,
on the road, neutral, or a true away game, he just lights it up. He does it against Arizona again. Was it 30 points? Am I wrong? Am I wrong on that?
Yeah, I think it was even 30.
I don't know, man. Here, Austin, what's going on?
I don't know. I don't know if I don't think he likes playing in the white uniforms. I don't know. I don't know if it's just the blue, which they wore the orange again.
I was about to say, you're going to bring it up.
Years. It was fine. But I think that, I don't know if Tahad just doesn't like the white. I don't know. It's just really strange. Obviously, it hadn't really bothered Auburn that much, and
Yeah.
I don't want to say if you had to choose, but if you need him the road is harder to play in,
Yeah.
right? Just naturally, especially in the SEC. So if you have to have a preference, I'm okay with it, as long as you get enough help at home. But he comes alive on the road, and certainly I worry if he hadn't come alive, what would have happened in Tucson, because it was already pretty bad.
Yeah.
But Auburn sees a big game from Tahad Pettiford in Tucson, and that's about it.
Keyshawn did some good things. Keyshawn Hall. You got to be specific because we got two Keyshawn. I know.
One assist in the second half, and it was the last play of the game.
Yeah.
That just doesn't do you very well.
We were walking through the stats last night, and I looked at
Bless
the
you.
the shooting percentage. I was like, oh, that's it. That's the one. And then it was points in the paint.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was 60-24. I don't care where you play. That happens against you, you're done. You're cooked.
You're done. Nothing working. And look, that atmosphere looked incredible for one.
Yeah.
I want to say that. Like that's you talk about, and I know you talk about the rich history blue bloods in basketball. Like that's what that looks like on conference championship weekend. At a 7:00 tip in Tucson, they were bottled up and ready to go. But that team is very good. And some of our chat's been talking about, it was obvious from the first jump, they had a lot of height, and Auburn does not have a lot of height. And it, I think the true post presence is going to be a storyline we talk about for the rest of the year. Is can Auburn do enough to kind of use what they have, but overcompensate in other areas to make sure that that's not a weakness that is just exposed over and over for Auburn. Because certainly there's going to be some big teams in this league they're going to start playing. But this coaching staff's going to have to figure it out. I trust that they will.
Yeah.
And I just, I temper expectations on people. That's a dangerous game with the Auburn family, but this team was never going to be what last year was, because we debated on this show. Last year was the best team in Auburn basketball history. Mm-hmm. That was not going to happen again. Just outside of Bruce retiring, outside of Steven, or outside of Tahad being the only one that came back. It just wasn't going to happen because things like that just don't happen very often. So, Auburn's sitting here with 3 losses, and certainly the 3 losses, none of them are very good, or 2 of them are very bad. One of them stings, but they're all top 10 teams. And I don't say that to, find the moral victory. Sure. Our coach tells you moral victories are for losers. Yes. But for a team like this that is really having to figure it out really quickly, and you've played top level talent and will continue to play top level talent, is Purdue next? I don't even remember.
It would be Chattanooga here in Atlanta.
Then Purdue next weekend?
I believe so, yes.
Another incredible team that is going to be a hard one to play. So Auburn's playing top level talent, and sure, they're getting kind of cleaned off the floor with them. But these are the learning curve. Last year it was the same thing. We talked about the learning curve of playing through this tough schedule. Now they won a lot of them. It's not so much the case this year, but you can see that it's preparing them hopefully to correct certain wrongs and be ready for SEC play.
Well, let me use what you just said and ask a question here. I don't think people should be applying what's currently happening across the whole season just yet. We haven't even finished up non-conference play. But, and you got a big one with Purdue, I think that's going to add to what I'm going to ask here. You have now played the number 1 team at the time, Houston, took them down to the wire, nearly had the ball in your hand to win the game. Didn't get done, but very formidable at home, though. You have in a neutral site, basically home for you. You went on the road in one of the bigger tournaments, if not the biggest, of the non-conference, and faced Michigan, who I at this point still think should be the number 1 team based on what I saw. That was incredible.
They'll be number 2 at the least tomorrow.
Well, walloped Auburn. That I still think that was worse than the Arizona game, and the Arizona game was miserable. And then you go on the road to Arizona, true home game for them, and you get just beat up.
Be number 1 tomorrow.
And it'll be number 1 tomorrow. How do you assess this team at this point? Because to me, I look at the Houston game. Houston's taken a hit. They're not number one. I think they're like number 8 or maybe a little bit higher.
Something like that.
Something like that, wherever they're going to be. But they're still Houston. They're still familiar. Still Kevin Sampson team. And then you kind of have these two teams at the top right now. We'll see what happens with Purdue. Where do you kind of put Auburn with that? Because you got this really impressive win against St. John's, taking care of business in all other areas. I guess what I'm trying to ask here is, based off the results so far, where would you put Auburn in comparison to the best of college basketball right now? Are we talking like they're not going to be in the top 25 after that performance, I would bet. But like, what's your assessment?
You don't think? You think they'll fall out? They didn't fall out after Michigan. I mean, they had 2 more wins to accompany that with.
Yeah.
But you look at an NC State win in the ACC, SEC Challenge, I think that'll hold weight.
You tell me what you think.
I mean, I think they're about where they've been all year. I think they're a top 20, top 25 team. I think that there's a gap from about the top 3 to top 5 in the rest of the league right now.
Yeah, it's very top heavy.
Very. And I think that those teams are just very, very good right now.
Yeah.
Now, like you said, Auburn will have opportunities to see how they can level up and match up to those other teams. And certainly the SEC is going to be flooded with teams ahead of them, below them, right around their area too. But for me, I think Auburn's right about where they are. Well, they've shown enough that they have the talent to compete. They have the potential to be very good. They're just not in the upper echelon of the top 5, top 10 right now. And so I think that's why you've seen them kind of stay right around the top 20 ranking mark. To me, I think that's where they should be. I don't think they should fall out. I really believe that. I do not think they should fall out. Certainly you can see maybe there'll be some dramatics from or some over exertion from of the voting after that. It was also a late game on the East Coast, and normally that kind of helps with these AP poll voters, who some of them shouldn't be voting. But you never know. And but to me, they're right on the fringe of that top 20, 25 team. And if we want to go back to this, is a long way away, but if we want to go back to what you and I talked about, what do we mark as successful for this basketball program? What do we hope they can accomplish of a ceiling? For me, it's still Sweet 16. If they get there, I'm overjoyed. Yeah. Because to me, that shows they advanced to the round of 32, and then they maybe did one more step. They beat someone that maybe they were right level against or weren't supposed to, and got to the top 16. Should be around the top 20 there. Yeah. To me, that's still what they are and what they can be, with a long road to go.
Yeah, certainly I want to wait and see what happens in the Purdue game. And certainly this is a great opportunity for Auburn to switch the narrative completely on what has happened. They're not unbeatable. That just happened to Purdue. That's why they're not going to be number 1 anymore. So, but you've got basically their whole team and then some coming back from last year. So this is an opportunity for Auburn to kind of switch what's been happening, which is kind of a trend now, blowouts by the top upper echelon of college basketball right now. So opportunity abounds and plenty of season left to go. I do want us to spend just a minute or two here catching you up on the women's basketball program. It's been a little bit of a slow time for them because their schedule has this weird gap.
Really weird.
I know. It's like 11, 12 days in between games. Last time we talked, Oregon, they just narrowly missed that opportunity. But they went up to New York or Syracuse, I guess I should say, New York State. And ACC, SEC challenge for them. Orange on orange. You want to talk about, I love our orange, but there can be too much of a thing. It's too much of it, So,
yes, agreed.
And I would imagine that was the case up there in the Carrier Dome. But they were not able to get the win in overtime again. It's been a lot of overtime for basketball in general for Auburn, but 66-60 Auburn loses to Syracuse.
66-60, like you said, just another really close overtime loss. Not another overtime loss. I think they've had one other to start the year in Charlotte. Yeah. But another close loss where Auburn was right there in the thick of it toward the end and just couldn't find a way to finish. No, this is women's basketball, not football. And for those of you just tuned in. And so, it stinks. And that's growing pains, I think, of a new staff and a new coach of trying to figure out who you have and how to get them all to believe they can win. I'm still a really big fan of this team. I really like them. I really like keeping up with them and watching them play. I think that they have the potential to surprise a lot of people. Certainly you got to put it all together and find a way to win the close ones. but they'll have opportunities. I think, like you said, they got a long break here between playing up in the Carrier Dome, and then they'll play at Seton Hall 1 week from today, Sunday, December 14th. They're on the road here for a couple times. Next time you can see them in Auburn is Thursday, December 18th. And then another long break until after Christmas. So
then we get at the SEC play after that. And so things will get a little bit more regular. That's the thing about
right.
basketball right now. We're kind of in that weird time of
man,
finals and holidays and stuff. But once that new year hits, man, we're going to be in the thick of things. Auburn men's and women's basketball and SEC play. Excited for it. Final main topic this evening, we're going to do some football stuff. The primary focus of our discussion is going to be National Signing Day, or at least a good portion of it. But we do want to spend some time at the start catching you up on the latest with the new era of Auburn football and Coach Alex Golesh, which we talked about this past episode 152. So if you want to get our initial thoughts on that and just reacting to that, that's out there for you. But certain things have, happened since then outside of National Signing Day and the class that they assembled. We've got to hear from him a couple of different times through different venues. I was able to attend the event where he, the fan event where he was able to do Tiger Walk, all that kind of stuff. And then press conference are available out there for you on ours, from the athletic department, if you want to get the full experience of that celebratory day for the new era, 33rd head coach of Auburn football.
Well, can I, as you're saying that, can I just go ahead? Can I lead into it by just asking your impressions first and foremost, up and close and personal?
Yeah, I really like his energy. I think certainly the youth that he has comes through. And when you juxtapose that to Hugh, who's he's a grandfather now, that kind of stuff. Let's not even talk about the man's dealing and battling cancer. So I can only imagine how that hurts his energy and all that kind of stuff. So there's a clear distinction there that kind of gets you a little bit excited about it. He seems very energetic to be here at Auburn and love the reception. I've been very kind of just even keeled, or I tried to be about this and not overreact to things. But I'll tell you the one thing that just kind of made me perk up when he was talking about what this team would look like underneath him, running the ball more often. And I think he even said a figure like 55-60% of the time we'd like to be running the ball. Amen, brother. And listen, I know we got, for now, star wide receivers and all that kind of stuff, and we need to listen. I ain't gonna get into it. Some of y'all just spend all your time worrying about whether 18 to 24-year-olds are gonna break your hearts. Come on, folks, just stop. Just live life a little bit. Anyway, we have this history of running the ball, and so that was the first thing that I heard from him. That was like, all right, I'm on. Yeah. So there's more to it than that, but that's my first big takeaway.
Certainly. I think a lot of people kind of have this misconception that because they scored a lot of points, they were a big time, break it open, pass happy, air raid team. Certainly they had a lot of success running or throwing the ball. Their quarterback threw over 3,000 yards this year, but he was the first to admit to it, an offense that he brings is built upon making sure the run is successful first and foremost, as most offenses that are good in this sport are. I really liked that too. I liked where he said, we're going to run the ball. He said, people around here like to run the ball. And I said, yes, they do. You know your audience, sir. That people around here do like to see the ball running. Yes. And Auburn is known for running the ball. And so I would love to see that as well. I'm excited. I'm with you, like his energy from the press conference, from Tiger Walk, the press conference, from all the videos we saw on. And everybody there's high energy to start, right? There should be. You're excited. But I think that there is I'm not calling anybody old, but there is a difference in when you see like it just feels like there's a youth that Auburn hasn't had in quite a while. I don't know if he's the youngest since being hired when, but it just feels like it's a different trend of Auburn having someone a little bit younger in that position, and you can feed off that a little bit.
Yeah, and you're gonna hear the things being said in the media. They're searching out for the quotes that all feel good, that validate this hire, all that kind of stuff. And so we're not downplaying that anyway. We're just our encouragement to you as our audience is just be even keeled about this. Yeah, I've already seen the ridiculousness. This guy is not gonna have any success at Auburn, and you might be right. You may 100% be right. I think you're ridiculous at this point if you say that. If you think this guy's gonna win national championships at Auburn just from this first week, you're being a little ridiculous too. Let's let the man see what he can do. This is my plea. Give the man some time to put his system, his people, go through the hurdles and the humps that will come from a transition, especially when you're going to be taking away some of the foundation that was built by the last head coach. Anyway,
some of that foundation's staying though, as we found out this week.
That is true. And so that's a great segue. So the things that, and like pointing that out, but you're asking me about what I thought. Big win for bring Cody back officially. Big win of saying I'm gonna run the football, and other staff additions as well were big wins for me, which is, speaking of this, the big news this week. I think this is when Hugh was hired. Let me compare this. The first thing he knew he needed to do was keep Cadillac on staff. And like, you're just not going to do yourself any favors if you don't find a way to work him in at that time. And that was the right thing to do. I think he was a good running backs coach for us as well. Great interim head coach. But DJ Durkin, man, not only was he deserving of consideration, if not full option for a head coach, Ohio State reportedly wanted him last season, which is why we had to re-up him. And, everybody else wanted him as a defensive coordinator. Maybe others wanted him as offensive coordinator, as a head coach.
That'd be something.
Kind of had to be both a little bit, in some sense for the last couple of years. Look, that's the first thing he had to do, figure out what he was going to do with DJ Durkin. And the story will write itself, whether it was the right decision or not. But on paper, it sure looks like a really good first decision, Austin.
Yeah, no, certainly. I think that, as we saw after the news became official, they've known each other quite some time. And certainly there was a decision just to be made on whether, I can't imagine the emotions and kind of what goes on mentally from DJ's side of you, the disappointment maybe in not getting the job and leading this team for about a month. And then, you're kind of trying to, in that in between of, do I want to work for the guy that hired over me? Do I mess with this guy? Do I have other opportunities elsewhere? All things to figure out and kind of do. All in all, it ends with DJ Durkin still as defensive coordinator for Auburn. I think that's a huge win for Coach Golish and for Auburn. I think it's going to help you with keeping a lot of guys here that obviously latched on and respected and fell in love with Durkin as their coach. So I'm really excited about him being here, the potential of pairing those two minds, an offensive mind and a defensive mind, for what Auburn could be in store for next year. So, yeah, out of the gate, first week, that's a big win. To me, it's a bigger win than any of these commits or signees we're about to tell you about, because it keeps Auburn from going back, not starting at full ground zero, but keeps them up a little bit.
Continuity matters. And when you change head coaches, there's very little continuity to be salvaged. This was a huge piece that I think is going to put Auburn much further ahead in year one than traditionally may happen. Now, certainly plenty of other decisions out there. There are reports who has and hasn't been signed. But DJ Durkin, to me, the stories I hear is that he loves being in Auburn and that he kind of wants to stay here a while. Who knows how long that'll be. But there was no reason not to pony up whatever it took to make the man stay here, especially for a transition time. And if he wants to make a decision down the line to do something different, he deserves that opportunity because he's done a lot for Auburn here. But that win this week is the win you were looking for outside of additions and National Signing Day, like you said. So happy to have him here, and hopefully he can continue to do what he's done in the first two seasons at Auburn on the defensive side. Brings us to the rest of this week in football. We got a lot of new Auburn Tigers to talk about. Now, maybe not as much as people are normally used to, and I know that this National Signing Day maybe not had the splash or the pizzazz. And let's not even talk about, is this the early signing day? Is this National Signing Day? Can they just make up their minds what the schedule and the calendar is? I know.
I'm so sick of it.
The reality is, let's just call it, this was National Signing Day because the majority of people last year and years previous to that, and now even this year, are signing today. And it's more about the transfer portal beyond this point, even though there will be another one in February for the high school students out there. A bunch of new names to talk about, to get to know. I can go through the list a little bit, and maybe I can do that very quickly here for everybody.
Good luck.
I know I'm going to butcher some names. You're just ready for this, aren't you? Adam Balagoon Ali.
Oh, you started with him.
I listen. He's right at the top of my list here from the athletic department. DJ Broughton, Reese Brush, Wayne Henry, McCall Lundy Foster, Parker Pritchett, Deshaun Spencer, Shadarius Tootle, Shadrick Tootle Jr. I love it. The jokes just write themselves. I'm sure they're tired of hearing them. Travis Wakefield, Chris Wells, Corey Wells, Jaquez Wilkes, Brian Williams, Wilson Zaire. And then you also had two additions that came in late. We had DeMonte Tab and Mason Mathis the day after. So that is your
Octavian Branch.
I'm sorry, Octavian Branch as well.
That's
sorry,
okay.
That's not on my graphic that I have from the athletic department, unless I just passed over him. Yeah, there he is. There he is on there. I don't know why I didn't have him on the list, because he was a late or the next day, early morning signing. Anyway, there's all your names that you can add there. Austin, I'll be honest with you. I started this segment by acknowledging this is not the signing day everybody was hoping for in terms of pizzazz and rankings. And as we continue to stress here, people focus on that too much sometimes. The more we kind of look at these, there's some really interesting storylines, things to point out here. So let me give the floor to you first. Anybody you want to talk about specifically, things you like? What do you got?
Well, and like you said, to just piggyback off that, it's essentially a 2-day signing class, right? Like,
yeah,
Golish comes in. Now, keeping Durkin is obviously a huge part of keeping a lot of these guys or obtaining a lot of these guys. That might have been a decision or factor in their decision. But I don't put a ton of weight in. I don't put a ton of weight in most of it, to be honest with you. But I don't put a ton of weight in this recruiting class, especially just because it's 2 days on the job that Golish is trying to figure out who he wants. Certainly, there were some flips from South Florida, some guys that they were targeting there were immediately jumping in the boat once he made the move to Auburn. I think that helps this class. But I think on the defensive side of the ball, you have to be really happy that Auburn kept just about all that they wanted from the Durkin regime, interim regime, and Freeze regime of the recruiting class. So I think you have to be really excited there. You want to see, and that's what I was getting at with keeping Durkin, keeps you from not being at ground zero because you don't have to work on overhauling both sides of the ball. And I think that keeps with bringing in the guys that you had already approved, you had already looked at and said, we want you as part of Auburn. By keeping them, that helps you. That you hope that side continues to grow and be just as good as they were this season. From an offensive standpoint, I think you have to be excited that there's some guys who trust Alex Golish enough that they're maybe had never even been to Auburn, Alabama, and they're willing to jump in the boat just because he's now here. And certainly that the opportunity of playing for a place like Auburn. So I'm excited to see where this goes. I think that it was always probably going to be a big time portal heavy class, no matter who the coach that was brought in. That's just the world we live in right now. Yeah. And with the news of more scholarships now being allowed on the roster instead of the 85 now to 105, that was probably always going to be the case too. But I like this class for what it was for 2 days and all that. So I think the things that stand out, it feels like every time you and I have ever brought up a recruiting class, we talk about a pair of brothers. Well, we got 2 pairs of brothers in this class. Cool. Cool. So that's pretty cool.
And then can I just add the family dynamic as well? The 2 brothers, the Toodles and the Wells. I'm sorry. Every time I hear the Toodles, I just,
oh my God.
If you got kids, you know where the kind of jokes come from and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, I knew it.
I hear that
you didn't say it before. Yeah.
I hear that a lot.
Toodly Lou, all that kind of stuff. Wilson Zaire, obviously, brother of Killian Zaire as well, is a really cool thing to kind of have a family tie back to the program as well. And maybe there's even a few that I'm missing in here too. But those are kind of the, I guess you call them the feel good stories of this one. The big names you're probably going to look at Jocks Wilkes. I keep saying Jocks.
Jacques
Wilkes. You've also got the two, especially Shadarius Tootle with his flipping back and forth between Georgia. He's stuck with Auburn there. Those are probably your two biggest names out there for Auburn. So is there a guy, whether it's the one that I just mentioned, stuff that you're the most excited about to see what they can do or maybe expect to see maybe early, because DJ's been pretty good about finding some of these guys that can contribute early.
Sure. Yeah. I think Shadarius Tootle is definitely one of those, a very highly recruited linebacker, and linebackers have had success with DJ's offense if they can pick it up. I also think that he's very high on Balogun Ali. I think he fits those two linebackers, especially fit a lot of what DJ likes to have in that position and do. So I think you could certainly see those guys on the field early. And you know what? Quarterbacks are always going to be the talk of the town, right? So the fact that Golish thought enough of Reese Brush to bring him immediately over. I don't know if that kid's ever seen Auburn, Alabama, but he flips immediately to come with Golish. Feels reminiscent of Hank Brown flipping when Hugh made it here as a guy you trust. And certainly Hank, didn't win all the accolades here, but had his moments and was a guy that you felt like you could trust immediately. So you're starting somewhere. So we'll see how that plays out for Reese and for Alex Golish. And then the other guy for me was Deshaun Spencer. That was a wide receiver, a guy that was committed to Duke. A lot of people had him. He visited Auburn a couple times. A lot of people were familiar with him, but he even took a visit to South Florida. I think, if I remember right, while he left. And so, for whatever reason, he was still thinking about South Florida while being committed to Duke, but it was enough for him to want the chance to play at Auburn once Alex Golish became head coach. So I like that. I think there's a lot to like here. Who knows who will be the ones that come out of this class that are the studs and who we might not see on the field, but that's the fun of it. And then how can you not like Wilson Zaire following in Big Brother's footsteps? So
I have a feeling that we're going to be talking about Wilson breaking through the depth chart at some point. Just like at least that's my wish, because I love these type of stories. I love family ties to Auburn. It's all part of the Auburn family thing. So that's what I'm hopeful for there. Golish has got a history with coaching tight ends through his coaching career. Brought in DJ Broughton, another one of those kind of flip overs or whatever through the whole switch over from USF. Auburn's not had a ton of success with tight ends as of late. And so maybe that was the number one reason that A.D. Cohen brought him in, is like, look, we got to get the tight ends going again. Let's find a guy with a strong history of tight ends. So that's got me intrigued. Obviously, I think whoever wants to take over that room, you're losing a couple of guys there that are big leaders like Brandon Frazier. And we've been very glad to have them in there, but Auburn's just been needing that star tight end, so maybe DJ can be that as well. I mean, like you said, that the flip of Brian Williams from Alabama to Auburn, those are always fun. You see them both ways, but those are fun too. So there's something to like in this class. You may not like it all as much as you thought you were going to. There were certainly flips away from Auburn that were huge. Still kind of interesting why some decided to leave, even though your defensive coordinator that you wanted to play for is still here and going to be here for the long haul. So I guess maybe just wrapping it up, Austin, like what should our takeaway be with this class?
Well, I think, like I said, I'm not putting much stock in this class, not to say that they're not talented, but as far as where they're ranked, as far as what stars you got, all that nonsense, that this was partial of a staff that worked for 2 days to kind of keep it together and give you something. For me, and probably for most schools, whether they had a head coaching change or not, the portal is where you look now. And like that or don't like that, that's kind of the reality of it. And probably the way that we could hope to see Auburn back on the ship and righting the ship sooner rather than later. So, we'll see. I certainly think there's talent in this class. And like we said, there's a reason that the defensive guys especially have been wanted for so long. and had been pinpointed and chosen by this defensive staff, including DJ Durkin. I think that there's a chance we see a lot of them really early because they know what they're getting and they trust the system that's going to be maintained.
Absolutely. And, one of the things that just I'd love to see out of this is the class that most people are not excited about, kind of dismissing out of hand. Like you said, we're not necessarily saying that there's not value and talent in here, but it just doesn't have the pizzazz because of the transition, things like that, that maybe they get to make the choice as a class, how long they stay, all that. What's their legacy? What's their story? The class that started the new era of Auburn football and could be those leaders of the future for something great there. So that's my hope and my wish for them. Welcome to the Auburn family and the Auburn football family, more specifically to the class of 2026. That's going to do it for episode 153 of the Auburn Experience podcast. As always, we'd love for you to keep up to date with us on social media, E2C Network at gmail.com. Direct messages are usually open everywhere, I think, at E2C Network. I'm kind of on Twitter. If you want to find me at Kyle Loomis 24, where can they find you?
Yeah, at Austin G. Scott on Instagram, on Twitter. I hope everyone's has a great week. And as we continue to hurtle toward Christmas time and the reason for the season, please make sure to remember it.
Absolutely. Well said at the end there, sir. And we appreciate you all being here. As we go, I want to remind you, the Auburn Creed asks you to do these things: to do justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with God. We ask you to do the same. War Eagle.
War Eagle.
All right, folks, that's the end of the recording portion. I will give you guys a few minutes of my time to do some Q&As, addressing anything you guys would like. Austin, you are welcome to stay, but if you need to run, you have the floor, sir.
I'm good. I can stay.
Okay. All right, we'll do that here. Let me just do a little quick rundown for folks. What's up going on this week? And we'll do some Q&As and things like that. Next scheduled live streams for you guys coming up. The Auburn Family Night. We are back. We've had a lot of conflicts with basketball. It won't be the last one that we have coming up here throughout the next several months. So just be flexible with that as you can. But Auburn Family Night, we are back live calling shows. I know that date is incorrect, by the way. I just haven't gotten around to doing things. Lots going on over here behind the scenes. But 9 Eastern time, join us for that. It's going to be a fun time. We'll also have a post-game show for Auburn versus Chattanooga. Would love for you to be there Saturday after the game. And we'll have fun talking about that. And, of course, we'll be back a week from now with another The Auburn Experience podcast. All that coming up later on this week, and plenty of other content out there for you. Let's see. Anything that you wanted to address, sir, before I kind of get into some of the comments that I'd say, things like that?
Somebody was talking about your will.
My will? I got you, Kyle's will, Austin. I think I got you.
I saw it from earlier. That's follow. Austin Stan said earlier, Austin should be in Kyle's will to be his Huckleberry. I don't know. Are you sick?
I wasn't aware of it. I really hope not, from stuff I've got going on.
Just hope you're
right
okay.
Now.
Yeah, me too. I was just like,
really, really hope not. I want to give a shout out to Stan, and WT gave him a shout out earlier. He became a channel member here on YouTube officially. So thank you so much for your support there. So appreciate that. You guys can also do that too. It's different than just being a subscriber. It's a way to support the content, all that kind of stuff. So thanks to Stan. What else? Is there anything else in here that we haven't touched on that we need to? I'm going to scroll back up here. Anything you want to say about the college football playoff, Austin? I know it's not Auburn related, but
Lemon can make a name for himself on this channel if he comes through.
What did he say?
Oh, his team's just playing.
Oklahoma. Yes. I do think Alabama's got the easiest path, unfortunately.
Of course they do.
Because just no shade at Oklahoma. It's just you feel like when you play someone a second time, you kind of know what you did wrong the first time. Now, thankfully, it's my understanding they'll be playing in Norman, correct?
That's right.
So that's going to be a big time matchup. That'll be
it's really going to be
watch.
Bonkers there.
So you will have the Auburn faithful on your side there for that particular one. Is there anybody that you're rooting for?
No. I mean, Indiana's cool.
Yeah.
I don't not like Indiana. I think their coach is, he's not my cup of tea. But I think they're good. Did you watch any of the Big Ten championship last night?
A little bit. I was outside working on the lights.
You gotta go look up the post-game interview with Mendoza, with the reporter on the field.
I did see this. Yeah,
that dude's bonkers. Like he So I don't know if I want to see him win or not. Not because of that, but just like that. I had a lot of
Wow.
secondhand embarrassment. I had a lot of Speedy, if you know what I mean, watching that. And so they're cool though. You know, they're the underdog. They're number one, but they're the underdog in the sense of who gives a heck about Indiana.
Right.
Trying to remember who else. I think I don't hate Texas Tech. I think they're really cool. They got more money than anybody, and they bought their way into this. But hey, that's the name of the game these days.
There you go. Well, Alabama has an Oklahoma problem. He's good with them underestimating us.
That's fine, man. I hope
There's
they
no
underestimate you all day.
There's no underestimating going here. I'm just going with what the trend, like the law of averages could, level out in Alabama's favor here. And trust me, I want nothing more than to see y'all just make sure you punish them for putting a three-loss team in the thing. I get it.
I can't get into all that. It's just an absolute
worse. Are we saying war sooner or Boomer Eagle? Like,
I'm gonna go war sooner. Boomer Eagle sounds a little bit like what I would call my dad or something.
War Sooner is probably War Sooner is probably the one I would go with there because we're first in it. By the way,
I'm trying to remember what are the other games. I'm interested to see what Ole Miss does. I mean, you talk about a lot of turnover. That team is like just there's so much drama around there.
Imagine if John Summerall had taken the Ole Miss job.
And they'd be playing each other. I bet you they wouldn't be playing each other. Like that committee had moved them around. But
it would have been awesome if he didn't coach either team. Obviously, he can't really coach the Ole Miss team because it would have arrived there.
Yeah.
And he met both his teams at half or at the midfield for the coin toss and said, "Good luck, boys.
Get out there, have a great time.
Have a great time."
Yeah. No, I think that's going to be interesting. That's another game we've already seen. Tulane lost by 35 in September.
Yeah. It seems like the committee should have looked at some things.
I just think this committee's a wash. But
yeah,
give me the computers back, man. Just give me the computers.
No computers. No computers. We can make.
It's not much different if you look at it.
That's fine.
I'd just rather not have to listen to a bunch of people huddled around. Whatever.
It's very simple, Austin. You make everybody join 8 conferences. You make everybody play a conference championship.
Put a limit on it.
You do not go to the playoff unless you can win your conference. Period. Over said and done with. If you're not good enough to win your conference, you're not good enough to make the playoff. And I say that if Auburn's in that position. Now, I'm going to take it if they ever put us in there and we're in that scenario. But I will stand by that statement. You should not be in the playoff if you can't win your conference. That's my opinion. I know in this system that doesn't work, but that's the way it should be. 8 games. And the conference championship games should be week 1 of the playoff, in my opinion, because it's the play-in games for the playoff, and that's what it should be treated as. This is the opening weekend of the college football playoffs. Conference champions go. That's it. But
it's strange. I think that I don't know. I think they pick and choose the rules they want every year, and that I'm not saying that because of Alabama. Benefited from it this year. They didn't benefit from it last year, but it just the rules. There is the goalpost move every single year. And the people that are like, well, we just need to expand to 16. Well, we're going to be talking about the 14, 15, 16 spots. It's just how it is. But
that's just 8
it's a mess, man. It's dumb.
8 champions.
They need to stop. I'll tell you what I would like to see. They need to stop doing these shows every week about the rankings because they can't answer for them. The things change and they don't know why they change. And do away with that. Just do away with the rankings. Leave the AP poll, and we'll see what happens on this day next year. But they're not going to do that. That'd be an hour-long special that they'll miss out on every week. Speaking of which, we're getting our schedule for next year this week, right?
Oh, you're talking about the dates.
Yeah, the dates. The order and the dates.
Well, that will be something for us to talk about next week. So there's football talk's not done
E2C Network can't mix out on an hour-long special.
Here, maybe a little last comment tonight. It's not Auburn related, but any thoughts on Ole Miss not getting the FSU treatment Ryman Lemon asked here?
I think
the same.
It's not. And I understand the thought, but I think that Florida State, they obviously lost Jordan Travis, and you got to see another game without Jordan Travis, and they looked bad. I'm not saying it's right what happened, but I think that there was a little bit more there, and I think that Ole Miss, all in all, retained everything. And Lane Kiffin was not their play caller. Charlie Weiss Jr. is the play caller, and they got him back in a very weird scenario from LSU to coach through the playoffs. That probably helped their case.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Here's what I'm convinced.
I don't want any of the SEC teams to win, to be honest with you. I'm not that person. So they can all lose first round as far as I care.
I'm right there with you. Let me go there with you for a second on the idea of where was I going to go with? So I lost my train of thought. It was about the Ole Miss, the Lane Kiffin scenario there. I can't. Wow, I'm getting old, man. I think I'm sleep deprived.
I got nothing for you.
I had a great question that I was going to go with on that, and then it just slipped my mind. Yeah.
Jordan Travis, Florida State quarterback, Lane Kiffin, LSU, missing the playoff. Florida State got dropped, won their conference. All right.
Well, with that being said, clearly I need to go to bed. So thank you all for joining us and letting us hang out with you a little bit after as well. Hope you can continue to come back. Let your fans, if you got fans, your friends,
send them our way.
We need fans. So y'all send fans our way. Friends, family, let them know that we're live on Sundays. Have them join us. It's always a good time. We appreciate you guys being here live. Those of you that catch the replay, it's awesome. It's great to be a part of you guys as an audience and also the Auburn family. I'll say it one more time as we go. The Auburn Creed asks you to do these things, to do justly, love mercy, walk humbly with God. We appreciate you guys and ask you to do the same. Till we talk to you again, War Eagle.
War Eagle.